Hello, and welcome to the Energy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, welcome to the Energy Astrology Show for May 20th, 2022. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. I want to welcome you to this week's podcast. This week, we are going to talk about what's going on or what's coming up this week. And also, I'm going to do a breakdown of Elon Musk's chart, and maybe we'll touch on Amber Heard and Elon Musk together just to see what the attraction was. And we'll get started. It's a little bit rainy, or actually it hasn't quite started raining yet, but we just had two tremendous thunders from lightning within the last 10 minutes. It's pretty intense, so hopefully I won't get kind of scared. There's another one. I don't know if you saw the flash, but we should have a pretty good thunder here in a second. Wow, that was almost instantaneous and double boom. Pretty intense. So anyway, we're gonna do our best to try and get this done. Let's look at the chart for today and see what exactly is going on in the skies. Uranus is at 15. Uranus is my lightning, thunder, and storms planet. He is at 15 degrees today in Taurus. And what else? Is anything squaring him, opposing? There's nothing I've got opposing him. But the moon is right on Pluto, just past Pluto, and it just went into Aquarius, which is the reason we have all this lightning here in Orlando. Orlando's a Scorpio rising city. If you ever wanted to know what it was or looked it up, it's Scorpio rising like me. But right now the moon is squaring Orlando. So probably, let me see. Yeah, it's in the IC. It's at the bottom of the chart and home. So lightning is ruled by Aquarius and Uranus, and having the moon in Aquarius means that's stronger energy around lightning. We've got a square coming up, of course, when the moon gets to 15 Aquarius, which will probably be in the morning, early in the morning. That means that we could definitely see increased lightning strikes here, but it also means that the moon is going to be squaring Uranus. When the moon squares Uranus in its own sign of Aquarius, of course, you're going to have very electrical energy. We're going to have the moon expanding the emotional connectivity to detachment, to science, to weather and meteorology, which is under the auspices of Uranus and Aquarius. So Uranus in Taurus is earth energy influenced by Uranus, which is air. And when you put those two together, you can see more inclement weather in the Earth's atmosphere because earth energy brings that lightning electrical stuff down to Earth. Anyway, we also have Sun at 29 degrees of Taurus and Mercury at 1 degree of Gemini retrograde, which means the Sun and Mercury will be coming to talk to each other tomorrow about midday. That is Saturday around noon. And currently the Sun is going into Gemini tonight. Of course, any electrical energy, such as Sun going into Gemini, is going to be significant. But because Mercury will also be at the same degree when the Sun is there, he goes in at 0, Mercury's at 1. So they are in each other's orbs. They're conjunct. They're very close tonight, and that's Friday night. So it means that we're going to have tremendous electrical power in the atmosphere, coupled with that square of moon in Aquarius to Uranus in Taurus. It's not an energy I would particularly want to be out in, and my daughter's going to be driving across town right when all this is going on. So say a little prayer for her. I'm going to say a little prayer for her and ask the angels. I usually call on Archangel Michael to put a protective bubble around me whenever I go out in traffic, and amazing energy when I get Archangel Michael to do that. Always a good energy, a good feeling. Hit lights on green a lot of the time, but I know that there's protection out there when I do that, and it's really wonderful to have that. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse today. Okay, we have Saturn at 25. Oh, no, excuse me. Yeah, Saturn at 25 Aquarius, Neptune at 25 Pisces. We have Mars at 26 Pisces. So those two just had a conjunction. And now Mars is moving on past Neptune, really increasing psychic awareness, dreams, sleeping quality, more wanting to take naps, wanting to be at home, wanting to hole up and be away from others. That's the late Piscean energy. We have 1 degree Jupiter in Aries in sextile to the incoming Sun in Gemini. And also, what else? I had something else there. 1 degree Aries is, oh yes, sextile to the moon today. So that's positive energy with Jupiter. It can bring more optimistic energy, but because we have that kind of inclement weather with moon squaring Uranus coming up, could be extra powerful as Mars is in an 8-degree orb to Jupiter in Aries. And so that could be a really interesting energy, especially Mars in Pisces can be water and lots of rain, or if you're in northern climes, spring, could be snow. But yeah, there's a lot of electrical energy in the atmosphere right now with that Mercury and the moon, and of course Saturn. So just be really cautious. Mars going into Aries early next week, it's going to be on Tuesday, is going to really create some intensity, being that Mars will be joining Jupiter in Aries. So that's definitely going to be an expansion of probably fighting in Ukraine. Jupiter is the planet of fortune, but it's also expansion. And Mars, of course, rules Aries. And so having both early Aries really talks about more clashes of ideology. People are wanting to get the spotlight. It's tantrums. Quite honestly, it's just tantrums. And so having Mars join up with Jupiter, Jupiter is going to be more of like that freedom loving energy. So there's probably going to be more demonstrations for the freedom around having a say in your body, more Black Lives Matter, the Black agenda with aggression and having a say. Mars is definitely going to spark more of that storyline, the Black Lives Matter storyline and racist storylines. And it's violence through guns, firearms, and knives, bloodshed. So I anticipate next week could very well be a bloody week. As far as the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive if they are in fact still going to be doing the trial next week. I know they have limited time, and it's really interesting because of the Sun Mercury, pretty much I would call it a clash coming up on Tuesday. Probably going to be a lot of information coming out, a lot more salacious details to be had. And this week has been pretty intense with that anyway, but we won't talk so much about it right now. We've got Tuesday coming up next week. Well, let's just go real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on what's going on for the rest of the week. Again, Sun and Gemini, it's going to be our egos are definitely going to be out. The first 6 signs are really more closely linked to the I meaning me, me. And so Aries rules the first house of the zodiac. And so having Mars go into its own sign of Aries is going to be really significant. And the Sun moving into Gemini, which can be pretty self-interested as a sign. Those two working together mean that there is a lot of volatility around selfish means and selfish ends. It is about it's about me, it's about tantrums, it's about what I say, how I say it. Sun, Mercury together, always kind of, that combust energy. Mercury on the Sun is combust. So, you're going to have a lot of people's attitudes being very ego driven and not wanting to give up their points of view. And pretty much believing they're right. Okay, and so moving in, so the weekend we've got Moon in Aquarius, Sun in Gemini, joined up with Mercury at 12:18 Pacific, 3:18 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Moon and Saturn join up early in the morning, midnight Pacific, 3:19 a.m. Sunday. And so that's going to be another volatile time for electrical shifts. Moon enters Pisces at 11:49 a.m. on Sunday. So right after that, we have a square to Mercury. Can be a very frustrating time to get your point of view out. Moon's going to be very intuitive and watery, emotional, emotive, and sentimental. And then Mercury, of course, is going to be very intellectual and logical. So it'll be very cut and dry logic. And then the Sun in Gemini on Saturday, like I said, Moon squares Sun in Gemini at 2:43 p.m. Eastern. And so that is going to add to that Mercury square right after. It's within 3 hours. Mars is sextile to Pluto at 6:15 p.m. So there will be a very strong energy around community and structures and cooperation, because sextiles are usually fairly positive, but of course it's kind of immersed in all that other energy that is squaring and kind of in conflict. And then Mercury enters Taurus at 9:15 p.m. Eastern, 6:15 p.m. Pacific on Sunday. And so let's back up a second here and see Mercury going into Taurus. So it's going to go from, so it's retrograding back into Taurus, which means that the money could get a little bit better as Mercury is back in the territory of finances and love and desire and the material world. So I think maybe there could be a spike with the stock market as Mercury goes back into Taurus. And of course, because of all the electrical energy with the Moon in Aquarius, the weekend is going to be a heightened information and awareness of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I would say watch out for Facebook, because that energy is always a Facebook energy, especially connecting retrograde Mercury and retrograde energy of Mercury and Gemini to Venus when Facebook was released on the stock market. So wouldn't be surprised if there were some issues around Facebook this weekend, or even technology, of course, Mercury. And then we're sensitive Monday with, but positive energy, sextile. Actually, Monday and Tuesday are going to be intense, but very much shake things up and move forward energy. Sun in Gemini, sextile Jupiter in Aries. So that is definitely travel. And on a personal level, I know my sister's birthday is Monday, and she will be traveling to South Carolina and seeing a friend on Sunday. So I hope she has her patient hat on. Not generally considered a strong virtue for Gemini. Gemini is a highly impatient sign and kind of intolerant if things aren't going really quickly. And then, of course, Moon in Pisces wants to slow things down and be more sentimental and emotional, but it squares Uranus on Monday in the afternoon. And then Mercury is sextile to Mars. So that's also a positive energy for getting things done and being really intuitive about it. If you're looking at investment on Monday, definitely follow your intuition. Tuesday, we have a lot of energy. Tuesday is a red day. Well, I'm going to get, there you go. Red only because that's the color I used at the beginning of the year to point out different energies throughout the year. But Black Lives Matter, guns, violence. This week is positive, though. July through July 7th, we have a lot of Aries energy. And so it's going to be more assertive, aggressive, ambitious, self-serving, though, bravado, sales, marketing, self-promotion, blood, the head, concussions, emergencies, and such. We're going to have Moon in Aries at 5:39 p.m. Eastern, Mars in Aries at 7:17 p.m. Eastern. Moon joins with Jupiter in Aries at 10:27 p.m., 7:27 p.m. Pacific. And then there's a sextile between the Sun and the Moon on Tuesday at 10:03 p.m. Pacific, and then first thing in the morning, 1:03 a.m. Eastern. And so what does all that mean? That means that it's volatile, but it can be very productive. It means it's new initiating energy. Aries is a cardinal sign. The moon in Pisces moving into Aries is wrapping up that mutable energy and feeling kind of inert and unable to move forward. But as soon as the planets all start to break free going into the first sign of Aries in the evening, a little bit earlier in the Pacific, mid-afternoon in the Pacific on Tuesday, but early evening on Wednesday is going to be this kind of floodgate open release. But because the planets are going from that water energy of Pisces into Aries, we could have tremendous rainstorms. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's a rainstorm that goes across parts of the country and hits multiple states on Tuesday. Wednesday, fairly mild, moon in Aries sextiling the sun in Gemini. Really good to get your own thing done, but that's first thing in the morning. It'll, unless you're a night owl, probably not going to feel it. Mercury trine Pluto in Capricorn. This is Earth energy power. So around 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Trine means unexpected. Mercury and Pluto. There could be some kind of accident at that time, or, it's kind of right around the stock market closing. We'll see what happens if it gets volatile at that time. And then Chiron and Moon in Aries join up 10:05 p.m. Wednesday. So that also could be another wounding around the male energy, aggressiveness, guns, knives, etc. I don't want that, but I am going to throw it out there because it's what I see. And I'm an astrologer, and that's what I do. Thursday, Aries moon, sextile Saturn in Aquarius, good for getting things done. Moon, emotion, desire, home and family on board with taking action forward. Saturn in Aquarius is technology and ideas, inventions, and definitely having a moon in Aries will give power and rise to the ability to move forward. Sextile's a good energy. And so we're going to move forward with those ideas, the inventiveness, really good for sales around the internet and alternative ideas. Moon in Aries joins with Venus in Aries at 11 p.m. exact in the Eastern time zone, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Pacific. So Moon in Aries, Venus in Aries, aggressive women, female energy. And that could also mean Black African-American women doing something of note in the evening Thursday. Moon enters Taurus. There is a square between the moon and Pluto right at 20 minutes after that. So there's going to be some kind of probably a clash or being at odds later in the evening Eastern, but California time. Thursday could be also another big day with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. And then as the moon enters Taurus, it immediately Venus squares Pluto in the morning or in the evening Pacific time. So it's kind of overnight that happens. And then Friday, the moon enters Taurus at 2:22 a.m. 2:22 a.m. Pacific. Venus squares Pluto right after that, because remember, it straddles the time zones Thursday to Friday. And then the rest of the day, there are no strong aspects, but definitely Venus squaring Pluto is, especially Venus in Aries, is going to be a clash of women and authority. And so that tells me next week is probably going to be an even stronger demonstrating week for the Roe v. Wade SCOTUS decision. So look for late next week to really be Thursday to Friday is going to be a lot more demonstrating, a lot more vocalization of women's rights around their body. And then we'll talk about next week. So that's the week for this podcast, but I'm going to do some Elon Musk. Give me a second here. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to, yeah, it looks like the voice is coming. It might be a little different quality. I'm not sure. I never am sure if my clip-on mic ever really makes the signal to my computer so that you can hear that way. But probably need to get a better microphone. I had a Logitech headset, awesome sound, but I just don't want the headset on. So maybe Logitech makes a good mic. We'll see how that goes. Okay, Elon Musk, he is a 29-degree Gemini rising with mostly Cancer in the first house. He also has a Cancer sun, Mercury at 13 Cancer. He's got Leo in the house of money, so definitely status matters to him. Moon at 7 degrees of Virgo. He's got Pluto at 27 Virgo and Libra, Uranus at 9 degrees in the third house of communications, which, of course, Uranus is the ruler of technology, and it's the house of transportation for him. The third house is vehicles. So there you go. Everything he does has to do with some type of technology and moving forward with vehicles of some sort, but with the exception of this whole Twitter thing. But that is communication and social media, which also falls under the third house rulership. He's got Uranus at the last degrees, and like he only has 4 degrees left of Uranus in Libra before it shifts houses into home and family. Libra in the house of home and family. So as far as partners are concerned, he does have kind of a alternate view of partners. And I would even venture to say, although I've never seen it, he's probably a little more eccentric when it comes to home and family than we know. And of course, Uranus is eccentricity. It's pretty much on the cusp of his house of home and family. So it can also mean a detachment from family. Uranus rules that detachment emotionally, and Libra generally needs the connection to a partner. And in the home and family, he may really want that connection to family, but Uranus is not a planet that really easily gets along with family members. Generally, they can be very contrary in energy, as in this particular position, Uranus with the family, he probably feels very contrary and maybe doesn't feel like he belongs in his family. He's got Jupiter at 27 degrees Scorpio. Of course, Jupiter expands the energy of Scorpio. Late degrees means there's definitely a fascination with the process of death or what's on the other side. So it can be, ghosts and mysteries and research. It's also the phenomena of life after death and the process of dying. It also expands our interest in Halloween and all things like ghosty and ghouly, that kind of thing. But Jupiter in Scorpio late degrees, I would caution that could be an energy around out of control sex drive. I would even say probably, suffice it to say, there's definitely a very strong sex drive in this man, and maybe even a little freaky. So yeah. Anyway, Neptune at 0 degrees Sagittarius in the last degrees of children. I don't know if he has children. I didn't do that research. I really don't know. But Neptune, there is, I think, a desire for children, but because he has Uranus on the cusp of family, it's like he doesn't necessarily relate to a traditional home life. He's got Sagittarius ruling his work sector, and so that means he does travel a lot. And I would say with regards to SpaceX. With regards to SpaceX, he definitely is seeking other worlds. Uranus is the planet that seeks through space. And of course, the travel connection with Sagittarius and also expansion of spirituality. There's a growth cycle around Sagittarius and work for this man. So Jupiter rules his house of work, of course, fortune. He's got Pluto transiting his 7th house in Capricorn, and also the moon in that house today as I record this. But that means that he wants more of a traditional role with his marriage partner. So even though he's got a lot of eccentricity in his chart, His Uranus is in an air sign in an air house. So he basically covers all three signs with his Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. It's in the sign of Libra, which is an air sign, and it's in the house of Gemini, which is the third air sign. So there's a tremendous amount of electrical energy coming in for him. And he has Venus in Gemini, so in the 12th house. And he's got Pluto in the last degrees of his house of partnership. So it can mean that he is breaking up with partners, and now Pluto's retrograde. So there is a consideration of past partners. And as Pluto goes direct in October, it's going to be a moving on from those partners. I think over the course of next year, we will see him break with a number of different situations that were partnership types of situations, and that can mean business or personal. But also he's been having a lot of difficulty with the structure of the market right now. The overarching, the overruler, overlords probably is what he would call it. He wants to be the one to control things and to call the shots, but he doesn't want to go by the rules. If you've been reading what's been going on lately with Elon Musk and the information that he puts out about Twitter is a possible violation of SEC rules and not SEC. Yeah. SEC is not, I was confusing it with FCC. The SEC is Securities Exchange Commission, which is the overarching ruling body of the market. And you don't alienate them because they will do things that get you in line. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, Pluto retrograde, Mercury retrograde, his Venus in the 12th house answers to Mercury retrograde. It's going back into Taurus, which means Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is in Mercury. You cannot necessarily go by what he says. It's just, especially with Mercury and Gemini right now, you know, he's not going to necessarily fulfill what he says he will. And so that's not really good for his investors. I would say definitely with Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency, if he's promoting it, which I believe he does to a degree, that is in alignment. You know, the air energy that connects Geminis, Aquarians, and Librans to crypto, it's a thing. You know, they are very strongly connected. He has Mars in Aquarius. And so Mars in Aquarius is going to mean he's taking action on the ideas and entrepreneurial endeavors, things that are inventive and probably next level aware, because Gemini, not Gemini, Aquarius rules genius. And Mars in Aquarius means he takes action on the ideas, which is very fortuitous. It answers to, interestingly, a square to his Jupiter. So while he takes action on very great inventions that affect the masses, Jupiter at late Scorpio means that there's some type of hidden emotional element that is at odds with what he does, and he's discounting it at times, because right after that Jupiter in Scorpio is early degree Sagittarius Neptune, which he doesn't want to be held back. So that is one of the problems in his chart. Jupiter Neptune opposite his Saturn at 1 degree. It falls dead center in the midpoint between his Jupiter and his Neptune. And that's going to be over there, early degrees of, let me double check, Saturn at 1 degree of Gemini. So it's going to be, you know, a problem with what he communicates and how he presents himself. And then right now we have Sun, Mercury crisscrossing literally over his Saturn. Very intense energy going. It's interesting that his Saturn falls, or the Saturn transit falls just past his Mars in the last degrees of Aquarius in his 8th house of legalities. So of course his name is coming up in the trial. And then Saturn in his chart is right there with Mercury Sun, which is also a very strong energy for the trial, for the Depp-Heard trial. He's in a Chiron return with Venus just past it. So he does have some feminine energy coming into his career house. Jupiter is in his house of travel and transportation, also with Mars and Neptune joined together in Pisces. So that can mean that there is some connectivity to being in the spotlight through entertainment. And I think that Mars is the self-promotive area of the zodiac, about to go in Aries. So I think he will see a bump in sales as Mars joins with Aries, joins with Jupiter in Aries, and it's in the house of transportation. So he's really going to be doing better with transportation endeavors, so his car and his rockets, but not as much with technology because of the energy going on with Uranus right now, in conjunct, or has been in conjunct to his natal Uranus, quite honestly. And that can cause a lot of difficulty with the outcome of his cars and what's going on with, the reliability of his cars. Again, Pluto at 27 Virgo in his chart. And of course, that's a trine to Pluto, which is going to cause some disruption with his cars. Pluto partnering with companies in foreign places, or even the structure of the company. Pluto, his natal Pluto in Virgo at 27, trining Pluto in the sky at Capricorn. The partners are due for a shift. So it wouldn't surprise me at all having his Pluto in Virgo, which is details, and it is the knowledge and awareness, the teaching, the lessons. And I wouldn't be surprised if, well, of course, his SpaceX probably has some government contracts. The government contracts, energy, military contracts are probably really strong for his SpaceX endeavors. But I would venture to say that trine with Pluto in Capricorn means whatever possible contracts he has are shifting form. So there may be a contract ending with him if he does in fact have some government contracts for SpaceX. But yeah, Pluto retrograde, I think he's a bit of a loose cannon, and it makes people who are looking for more reliable partners a little bit of, they're kind of on the fence with him. And with a Pluto going direct, moving into Aquarius, he's probably going to, I would say, fund his own entrepreneurial endeavors in the near future. Okay, and then finally, we're going to go over to Musk and Amber Heard. His Saturn is really close to her Venus in her 12th house, his 11th, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, he has Saturn in his 11th house, and it's right really near her Venus in her 12th. So he kind of snaps her to attention. There's a psychological connection. I would say that she was probably attracted to him for some financial gain, for obviously, and also because he was a bit more of a taskmaster with her, and maybe they're not together anymore because he was just a little too much restrictive of her energy. Okay, and Deb is a Gemini, so there was probably also a connection to him because he had his sun on her Venus, and then there was a Saturn there. So it's kind of like like Depp is the bigwig in his career, and has been anyway. Who knows where it's at now? And then Elon Musk is pretty much the figurehead for his particular field of invention, innovation, and technology. And so, interesting that Amber Heard actually found her way to both people in one lifetime. But I suppose there's a certain amount of running in similar circles. Mercury, Amber's Mercury is at her late career house, and it's really close to his Chiron. So his Chiron's in Aries. There's a wounding around masculinity. I would say he might even act out in the public eye around trying to prove himself as, the quintessential alpha male. And she probably undermined that with her ideology on some level. Her sun is in Taurus, which falls into his career house. So it was probably a good career move for him to be seen with her. And let's see what else. His Jupiter Neptune is in her house of work. And so maybe she was even seeing that he had potential to open up some roads for her with potential career moves in what she wanted to do. Neptune, I wouldn't be surprised if there is an opportunity for him to um, finance some films, and I wouldn't put it past him to realize that financing films might actually get him a better voice in the public eye, and he can actually guide the media through film and through entertainment to say more what he wants it to say. Her moon was on his Uranus, and his Uranus was on her moon, and that tends to mean a very quick relationship. Maybe it seemed like a great thing and then it burnt itself out really quickly. Add to that the fact that her Uranus is right there in her house of marriage. So while, Uranus on the cusp of the descendant means that there is a quick, almost idealized view of this marriage partner or a partner, and then it burns out fairly quickly. It's kind of like, this is everything I wanted. Oh, I don't want to be here anymore. And it doesn't work. It isn't the same anymore. So the energy shifts really quickly. She also has Neptune join Mars in her house of marriage, which means that she idealizes the role of father or men. And Uranus on the cusp of her house of marriage is also the having a wife before, because LGBTQ is ruled by Aquarian Uranian energy. So her chart very strongly shows between Uranus, Neptune join Mars in her house of marriage, pretty much the path she's had for her marital life. And then recently she just had a child without a partner, and she has made note that she is the only parent on the birth certificate. So she's the sole parent. There is no listed father. I think it was a surrogate child. And she has Pluto in the house of children in late Libra. So she decided to have children under that. I feel like it's almost as if it's a partner energy. So I believe she has a daughter. Look to see what kind of relationship that is. Pluto is not necessarily the best energy to have in the house of children, because it can also mean that the child doesn't get along with the mother. Let's see, her moon is in Libra as well. She really tries hard for balance, but she's got that Sagittarian energy in her Saturn. So it's not easy. Uranus for her is also in the sign of Sagittarius. And so there's a bit of bipolar energy with Uranus and Sagittarius, and also Saturn and Sag for Amber Heard. Makes her a bit erratic. And then, yeah, she's got Neptune, Mars in early, let me double check, Neptune, Mars in Capricorn. And so, yeah, her downfall is kind of her Saturn, Uranus, honestly, in the Libra part of the chart. So with relationships with marriage partners, she's kind of always going to have a lot of upheaval. And as far as Elon Musk and his relationships, if he can, he'll probably end up with an older partner. If he, and I wouldn't be surprised if he marries after Pluto goes into Aquarius, because that is right there at the end of his house of marriage. And then he also has Mars in Aquarius there. So it would be someone who stimulates him mentally, but takes on a bit of a more traditional hierarchy, paternalistic role, meaning they're going to support whatever he wants to do. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. And I thank you very much for coming this week. And we'll see you again next week. Take care. Watch out for Tuesday. It's pretty rocking and rolling day, but a lot of interesting things can come out of it, communication-wise, printing, publishing, education. We're going to be learning a lot, and a lot of communication comes out. So, okay, that's all for this week. And once again, thank you. Have a great week. Bye. Which, Alexa, stop. So apparently she's taking some type of direction from me for whatever I said. I don't even know.
Hey, this is Shelley. I wanted to give you a heads up that there are a lot of new art prints at shelleyoverton.com. So go over there and check them out. SHELLEYOVERTON.com. Thanks.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at Astro Energy Astrology Show.